Hey there, friends, and welcome back to episode 3 of the Comeback Club podcast. Before I even start, I want to really just put it out there that today's subject is definitely more on the sensitive side. If this affects you in any way on a negative side when it comes to hearing or talking about grief, then maybe this might not be the video for you or the podcast episode for you. We're going to get really deep in the weeds of what it is to really grieve somebody and just to continue living without that special person, especially around the holidays. Today's episode is obviously very personal. I'm going to be actually sharing something I've never really publicly said online. I've definitely mentioned my uncle's death before, but I've never really talked about his story and what happened ever in any of my other social media platforms. This is a very personal and sentimental episode. I just really think that it should be shared with every single one of you, and hopefully this will also help somebody out there. Losing my uncle didn't only shape me, it shaped my whole family and how we pretty much live every single day after his death. What's crazy is that today, right now, it's Sunday, it's 7:30 at night, and I really think I'm just gonna upload this today. I really like to upload my podcast at least on Wednesdays, like every single Wednesday, to stay like with a nice rhythm, but something in me is telling me just to record it, to post it. I feel like we're getting into a very, very sentimental holiday starting tomorrow, which is Thanksgiving week. It's always all about food, obviously, but it's also about family and gathering together and being grateful. So I feel like something's telling me just to post this today because maybe this will help somebody feel a little bit stronger or relatable during this week that's coming up now. I know holidays usually feel very loud and very happy and all over the place, but if you're a family like mine that is still grieving a loved one, you'll notice that the holidays still kind of feel more quiet, if that makes sense. And by the way, guys, grief is not just depression or feeling sad. It's also anxiety. It's also aggression, like being upset about it. It's like memories and triggers, and it's so many things that wrap up into grieving. And I want you also to remember that everybody grieves a certain way and in different ways, right? So I'm first going to talk about my uncle and who he is and what he stands for. And then I'm going to obviously get into details about his passing and what happened. And then I do want to talk about grieving as a family and what we're all still living through every single day. And I will also mention when it comes to grieving, there's certain people who eat out of anxiety, and that's something that I went through too when he was getting really sick. So I'm also going to touch on that. And then we will just wrap up this whole episode with things that I've learned. I feel like things that have helped me in a way or be stronger in a way after my uncle has passed, and trying to be the rock for my family in general. Alrighty, so my uncle's name was Gilbert Diaz. He's actually a junior from my grandfather. So my grandparents, just to get a better picture, they had 2 children. It's my mom, which she was on our last episode of our podcast, and they had my uncle. They're 5 years apart. My uncle was always like the light of the family, the funny one, the one always dancing and making every party just more memorable. He was really big on getting the family together and having either simple dinners at home or all of us going out to a restaurant eating together. He was the type of man that would be on the street, and if he saw somebody going through a hard time, no matter what he had planned in his whole day or where he was going or how much he was rushing, he would pull over and help that person. He would open doors, he would help. I could honestly sit here and tell you a million stories of what an amazing man that my uncle was. I feel as if sometimes we take it for granted sometimes. Like, of course, me growing up, I always saw him as like such an amazing person, and he had his career and he had his goals. He was such a hard worker, but I still feel like I should have celebrated him more with all of his accomplishments when he was alive. Again, we don't always know, one of the healthiest persons from your whole family was going to pass at such a young age, My uncle pretty much raised me, so let me better explain. As you guys know from our last episode, my mom had me at 18 years old. She was super young. If I'm not mistaken, it was 18 and she was just turning 19. And they're 5 years apart. So if my mom was 18, that means that Gilbert was around 13 to 14. He was literally just a teenager when I was born. I'll show you guys some pictures here on the screen so you could get a better visual. My father was pretty absent from my life all the way from when I was born to pretty much I was 18 years old. So I always lived with my grandparents, my mom. mom, they pretty much raised me, and Gilbert was a huge one. He raised me just being a teenager. I even remember like when I was 5 years old, 6 years old, I always wanted to be around him, and his friends would come over and I would always be in the room with them, like trying to hang out with like my pacifier and stuff. Like it's the funniest thing ever, but I was obsessed with him. He was like a big brother, but like a dad at the same time, you know? As I got older, like out of high school, when I became a mom, he was there for all of those milestones. I remember he was so happy when my son was born. My uncle was very happily married for, I think it was like 20 years with his wife. He was very like madly in love and happy, and they always lived such a good life. They traveled so much, but they never had children, right? So I feel like when I had my son, he was like in shock. He was like, oh my God, this is my baby too. You know, it was the cutest thing ever. And I remember he would always come over and play with Junior, and Junior was like in that toddler stage, and it was like the best memories ever. I am Catholic, so I did nominate my uncle to be Junior's godfather. And I still say it to this day. I tell Junior all the time, you know, Tío, which is in Spanish for uncle. Tío's not here with us physically, but he will forever be your godfather, like your guardian angel watching you throughout your whole life. The role he played in my family, even though I do feel as if he was like such a strong person in the family, he was always like worried about us, like if we were okay, if my grandparents were okay. He was so sentimental when it came to his parents and to family in general. But I also felt like he was so strong, like he was like the rock too here, you know. I looked up to him a lot. He accomplished so much in his life. He had like the career he wanted. He was a big time electrician here in Miami. He even worked on that Miami Marlins Stadium, the really beautiful one. And you know, he just lived a beautiful life. He lived in Brickell. He traveled all the time. I mean, what can I say about my uncle, you know? But unfortunately, things all started just declining when he got sick. This was in the COVID era. It was around 2021 when there was a certain strain of that COVID. I think it was called, I don't know if it was called Delta or something like that. It was a strain that was really attacking people, and a lot of passings were happening. And unfortunately, my uncle, since he worked in the stadium, they had a big New York game, and we think that he got it from there, possibly because a lot of people didn't have masks on. So he did get infected with COVID. And it's crazy because I definitely remember when he got sick, at first we were like, okay, we're obviously nervous, right? But we're like, okay, he's fine. He's actually the healthiest one of my whole family. He has never been super overweight. He was always really taking care of himself, going to the gym, drinking his nutrients, having his protein bars. He's actually somebody that I really looked up to when it came to physical and how he kept himself. So honestly, me and my family, we were like, okay, Gilbert's sick. We're worried. We're going to call him every day and text him every day, but he's going to be fine. He's 43 years old. He's strong as hell. You know, he's super healthy. He drinks his vitamins every day. He's not a smoker. He's not a drinker. Like, he's going to be fine. And with that said, things just started declining. I mean, I think he lasted at home for about, I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks, like coughing with the big fevers, and he felt like he couldn't really breathe, and his lungs, and it was just insane. That whole time, I feel like it was all a blur. I felt like those 2-3 weeks that he was still at home trying to like fight it himself, I feel like it went by so fast. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I have a lot of regret sometimes. I feel like maybe I should have like pushed him more, or kind of like forced him to go to the hospital sooner, or probably done something different. I don't know, right? Like, you always have like these regrets in your head. But long story short, he has to end up going to the hospital, and he pretty much stayed there. I'm not going to go into too much details because I know that this could get really lengthy, but overall, my uncle had to get intubated, and he fought on that intubator for almost 3 months. Okay, it was not like a 1 weeker, or no, 3 months. I'll never forget, actually, when he got intubated, my son started kindergarten. I think it was like 2 weeks after that or something like that. And I remember texting him, even though I know he couldn't see his phone, but kind of like texting him in hope that when he would wake up from the intubator, that he would read the messages and see the photos. And I remember like sending him like photos of Junior on his first day of kindergarten, and sending him a message saying, hey Gilbert, just want to show you this picture so when you're all better, you could see it's Junior's first day of kindergarten. We can't wait, for you to come over. Just can't wait to see you at home. When I tell you guys that me and my family, in like the first couple days that he got intubated, obviously we were all so in shock. We didn't think that he would need that, but the doctors recommended it obviously because he couldn't hardly breathe at all. He was suffocating, couldn't even really turn his body over. He felt like his lungs were like 2 bags of sand, you know? So nothing, like the first week went by. Of course, like my grandparents are a mess. My whole family's a mess. His best friend, Anthony, oh my God, he played such a huge role in all of this. He was with my family the whole entire time. He never let us go. He never, stopped like fighting and fighting. And since I work in the medical field, I remember clearly, like every time that the nurses would call and give us an update, me and Anthony will get on a call and be like, okay, so here are his vitals. Okay, this is looking better and this is looking worse. Okay, we gotta like do some research and then ask the doctor this next time. So that was like a constant thing, guys, for 3 months. Like we were constantly like trying to help the doctors or help the nurses in any way possible, trying to make like a game plan for Gilbert to get out of this and come back home good. I will also remember that we would always bring like every single day some type of foods or some type of treats to the nursing staff that were helping us so much, and just to, give them that love and effort, like saying, hey, this is Gilbert's family. We're here every single day. We're on every single call. Like, please help him out the most that you can. I know this is such a delicate stage right now, but we would bring them like bagels and we would bring them breakfast and lunch and muffins and donuts and whatever we could. We would alternate and do that. And we would go to the hospital, drop it off, and, just tell them, please just take care of him. Thinking about it now, it was really, really hard. With every phone call that me and Anthony received from the nurses, I remember having to write all that down and then having a minute to myself and then going to my living room and telling my grandparents and his sister, of course, like the stats. And it was hard. Most of all of those calls weren't good calls. I'll be honest with you. Like the nurses will tell us, hey, his oxygen is not doing too good, or hey, he got an infection now. Hey, he has this now. I always felt like it was always something negative. It was something happening here and then something got better and then the antibiotics didn't work and then now we got to do this. And, I even went crazy and I started emailing like doctors and we started calling doctors and hospitals all around Florida, but he was so delicate that we couldn't even transport his body from there to another facility, because if he would have lost his oxygen, he could have just passed from the transportation. I'm telling you guys, it was, I don't believe in the word hell because, I don't like to think about that. But I feel like we lived in hell for 3 months. And I think the worst part of all of this is seeing my grandparents get those calls and hear what I had to tell them. And the reason why I also picked up a lot of that is not only because I work in the medical field and I understand the terminology and the severeness of things, but I knew that I was the family member in the household that would have the patience to sit down and to console my grandparents and, his sister, of course, and the rest of my family members. We had families, cousins, aunts calling us every single day to check on him. And I would be the one to relay that message because I just felt like I was in a stronger mindset to do so, if that makes sense. And it was really hard because I always tried to not show emotion every single time I had to give the news to my grandparents or to any other family members, because I remember like even if my eyes got a little bit watery, my grandma would just start like crying like crazy. So you guys have to understand that is his parents, like his mother, his father, you would never think that your son would be going through that, right? So I definitely remember that was so hard. We lived that for 3 months, and I think in the last like 2 weeks or so, it's crazy because Gilbert actually started getting a little bit better. And I remember me and Anthony were like, oh my God, this is a miracle. But that saying that things get better before it gets worse, that's exactly what we live. So Gilbert had like, I think it was like 2 weeks that he was doing so good that there was like other nurses like taking care of him, and they would call us and say like, hey, his oxygen level is going great. We're going to lower the machine. We're going to do this. And we were like, oh my God, we would go to the hospital. And since we couldn't go inside the hospital, we would wait outside his window and just pray to God and just all be there to support each other. He had family members, friends, co-workers, acquaintances, so many people just standing outside his window in the hospital. It was insane, seeing all of the people that loved him so much, not just us as his family, obviously, but all his friends. He had so many friends, so many good connections with people because he was just an amazing person. But then unfortunately, he lost his battle. And guys, when I tell you, that was horrible. Like, that was so bad. They did let us go upstairs, and we had a moment that we were able to see him, even though I hated that in a way, because my grandparents had to see him all like tubed up, and like he looked all skinny, and he was like already turning blue and stuff, and something that doesn't leave your brain the image. I definitely went up there and I saw him, and we couldn't go inside the room, but we saw him from the glass window, and we said our prayers. And I remember walking my grandparents down, and I think we had so many family members and friends of his parked outside of that hospital just waiting for my grandparents to come down. And you know, we were all in shock. This was not taken lightly in my house. He was only 43 years old. Again, out of all of us that we got sick, and we've all had COVID plenty of times, even the older grandparents, great grandparents that got COVID, and everybody was fine, and nobody passed away. But why Gilbert? Why our Gilbert, our 43-year-old Gilbert? It's truly something that has changed my family, has changed me. It has changed so much. I will never forget that when he passed away, you know how people grieve different. For me, when I'm grieving, well, I'll be very honest with you, Gilbert was the first like really, really immediate close family member I've ever lost. Because a year prior to him, we lost my great grandfather, which obviously I loved him, and that was hard too, but he was like 97 years old. Like, all of our family members thankfully have passed from like old age, more or less. My poor abuela Mimi too, like with Alzheimer's, but at a more older age. But nobody in my family has passed away so young, so it was a really big shocker for us. And I remember like when he passed away, it was like we couldn't believe it. We were in shock, and people grieve different. I went to food. I'll be very honest with you guys. I gained so much weight. I would just eat and eat and eat out of anxiety. I felt like crafting, to be honest, and eating was my two coping mechanisms. And I talk about it in my Annie cricket side, because I bought one of my first cricket machines when he was getting sick. And I remember I went crazy, like crafting and doing things and going crazy. And I felt like that helped me get through it. But I also would eat a lot. I don't know why that would make me feel better, but I did. And then, just to show you guys how people grieve different, his mom, which is my grandma, she did the opposite. When he got sick, when he passed away, her appetite completely left. It's crazy because when my grandma was like, in her, I don't know, like 50s and stuff, she started like putting on weight, and she was just a bigger woman. Saw her when he passed away, she looked like she lost 100 pounds, and if you still see her now, she's still extremely, extremely thin. She has, little by little built up an appetite, and she's eating a little bit more, but I'll be honest with you, like, she completely lost that. I guess like life after grief, it's just things that, you're always gonna miss him in the dinner table. Having family gatherings kind of feel wrong, if that makes sense, because you feel like you're missing somebody, and you don't want to like laugh or celebrate too much, because then you're thinking, man, but Gilbert's not with us. It's such a taboo subject. I know different people grieve different ways. We understand too that life does go on, and we have to continue living happy, and live the way Gilbert would want us to live, happy, and celebrating good things, and trying to do the best in life. But it's hard. It is so hard, especially in the holidays. Thanksgiving alone is one of the hardest holidays for us since he passed away, because his favorite holiday was always Thanksgiving. He loved it. He loved the food. He loved all of us getting together. He loved just Thanksgiving in general so much that this is the day that we really, really think of him. And not 1 year has passed that we don't serve him a little plate of food and we have his chair in our table. That's one thing that we just can't stop doing, because he is still with us. And I know that he's not here physically, but we definitely feel him here emotionally, I guess spiritually, I don't know, but we do feel his presence sometimes. And even me, guys, to be honest with you, I have times where I'm going through hard things in life, or I'm really stressed out, or I have a decision I have to make and I don't know how to do it. I sometimes say, like, Gilbert, help me out. Like, give me a sign, guide me to the right way, to my dreams tonight. Like, give me something, like, help me out here. I do truly feel like I have a guardian angel, and it's definitely him. But to summarize all of this, I think some things I learned from grief is it never really ends. And I'm going to be very straightforward with you. I never wake up one day and Gilbert's never on my mind. Like, for some reason, it could be anything. It could be the end of the day. It could be the beginning of the day. It could be a random thought, a random memory, a random photo. And he just pops up to my mind. So I feel as if I know that there's a very cliche like thing that says, time heals all. I don't really agree with that. I don't think time heals when it comes to losing somebody so close to you. But I do feel like with time, things do get a little bit better. I will say, like, maybe like the first year that he passed away on October, and that was so close to Thanksgiving, obviously. And I remember, like, that holiday, we didn't do anything. We were all just crying. It was so hard. We couldn't even like put it to words. It was so difficult. Then the next year we tried, because we don't want to like raise Junior in a sad household either, but we're trying and we're trying. Like, every year we get a little bit better. That's what I mean when I say time doesn't really heal, because we don't wake up one day and say, okay, Gilbert passed away, it's fine. No, but I do think that time makes things a little bit easier. And then, of course, I have such a soft spot in my heart for my family, for my mom, for my grandparents. I have, it's crazy because my grandma has the most beautiful smile. Like, she is a living angel. Everybody that has ever met her has always said the same thing. She is the sweetest woman you'll ever meet. I'm not saying that just because she's my grandma. Anybody that has ever met her, even for 2 minutes, will say it. But she has always had such a beautiful, like, lit up smile. She's so compassionate with others. She has such a good heart. I truly feel as if the one thing that does get me emotional is ever since Gilbert passed away, I have never seen her smile like that again. And I don't think she ever will. I do know God works in very mysterious ways. It's kind of insane how I had my son and then Gilbert passes and then Junior's 5. My son really brings a lot of happiness to this house, to my grandparents. Kind of like they're reliving what they had with Gilbert at a young age, if that kind of makes sense. Like, that's how I feel, like, watching them with him. Like, my grandma likes to do homework with him sometimes, or like just help him with something or cook his little food, and and that keeps her busy and it keeps her happy and distracted. And I feel as if I see the way she loves my son so much, and I feel like she sees Gilbert in him too. And it just, it warms my heart, but it gets me emotional sometimes too. My grandfather alone, he is the rock of the family, right? He is so strong, and I don't think I have ever seen that man cry. And throughout the 3 months that my uncle was in that hospital, I would sit outside with him and he would just like cry and cry and cry. And he would try to do it like, not in front of my grandma, so she won't keep on crying. And I just want to let you guys know, whoever's going through grief right now, if it's very recent, just know that it's okay to not feel so festive in the holiday season. Take things in your pace. When my uncle passed, I had some friends tell me, no, you gotta get back to it. Just be happy. That's what Gilbert would want. But I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready to go out and have fun 2 months after my uncle passed, and the tragedy that happened here in my house and my family, it wasn't like that. So, it took me at least a year or two to try getting the family together again, try hosting small yet soft parties, nothing crazy. That took a while, and that's okay. And I also want to give you some advice of honoring them. So, for example, something that really keeps us happy here is I have like photos of Gilbert. Like, I have one in my room with a little memorial for him. In my craft room, you guys probably have noticed, like, I have a little picture of him next to my work desk, because I feel like he's like my guardian angel. I also have, like, in every holiday, I always have a little memorial of him. For example, my Christmas tree, I'll show you guys a picture of that one too. It's a beautiful Christmas tree and it has a theme to it, but every single year I always have a big ball that has a picture of him in there, and that is like kind of like a memorial of him being with us throughout the holidays. The same thing that we do during Thanksgiving or any dinner that we have here, we always put apart a little plate for Gilbert. It's like we're serving him there. Maybe for some people that's kind of weird or they don't like that, but for us that gives us some type of comfort and welcoming that even though he's not physically with us, that he could be spiritually, or his energy, whatever, is welcomed with us 24/7. I think another part of grief that is just, it really sucks, there's no other word to put it, is the fact that when you lose somebody, you can't just pick up your phone and call them again. That part really got to me, because I would text Gilbert here and there and I would call him here and there. If I ever had a question, I would, and I can't do that anymore. It's the little things sometimes that actually affect us more. Like, I will never forget when I got my job that I have right now. I was so excited for it, and the first person I called was my uncle. So every time I hit a year anniversary in my job, or if I move up, I get promoted or whatever happens, the first person I want to reach out to is my Uncle Gilbert and tell him, hey, I did it. Hey, I'm doing this now. Hey, I opened up a YouTube channel that we always talked about. Hey, I'm crafting now and I'm doing this. And, and it's just, you can never call them again. So remember, like, when he first passed, I would still send him like text messages. I felt like that helped me cope too, until I think that his number got like canceled out already. And then I started noticing that was kicking it back. And I think that's like another big hit too, when you realize that you can't reach out anymore. But if it helps anybody out there, like how I said earlier, sometimes when I'm stressed out and when I feel a little bit overwhelmed, I just speak it out loud. And I say, hey, Gilbert, give me a sign. I need help right now. I don't know what to do. Like, help me out. I need to help mom and dad. I need to help my mom. Is there anything that you could recommend me? Like, come to my dreams or give me a sign or whatever it is. And I feel like that's how we connect. And that is so insane. I'll actually give you guys a little story time, right? So this happened last year in June. I was actually going for an interview in my current job for a promotion, and it was an interview for a new position. So I will never forget, I was so damn nervous. The first person I would have called would always be Gilbert, but I remember being in front of the Zoom camera and I was getting prepared. I was 15 minutes early to the Zoom call. And I remember just like breathing in and out. And I literally said out loud, I'm like, Gilbert, if this is for me, please, like, let this interview go well. Give me the strength. I want to, prosper in life. I want to be able to help mom and dad. Remember, guys, that mom and dad is my grandparents. I call them mom and dad because they raised me. Remember telling him, like, please, like, just help me out here. Like, if this is for me, give me a sign. I swear to you guys, in the second that I said that, I felt the most heaviest pressure on my shoulders. I get goosebumps talking about this, okay? And I'm not really a believer in all the like things and stuff, spiritually and stuff. Feeling that and that pressure that I had in my shoulders, I remember I got scared at first, but then I felt this peace in me. And just to give you guys a little summary, I got the promotion and that's the current position that I'm in now. So thank you, Gilbert. I wish Gilbert was alive right now because I feel like he would be such an important part of my son's life. I feel like I would be able to share with him all my highs and all my lows. Every time that I'm confused about something, I feel like I wish I could reach out to him, that I could talk to him again about something or advice, or even just to kick it with him and go over to his house or him come over here. I just really wish I was able to talk to him and hear something back, because it's different. I could definitely talk to him now, but I can't hear what he wants to tell me. So, yeah. It's crazy because I told myself I wasn't going to cry in this podcast episode. It's hard, and it's been already 4-5 years. I'm not even sure anymore. It feels like it just happened last year. That's another thing. It doesn't feel like it's been so many years. It feels like this is recent. Like it just happened, like we just got that call. So just keep your loved ones in your minds. If any of you out here listening have been through something like this, that you have lost somebody and you're going through it, I just want you to know that I am giving you the biggest virtual hug out there. You are not alone. There are so many people that have gone through this. There's so many resources for you. If you need to talk to somebody, please do it. If it's professionally, or if it's a best friend, or if it's somebody random. You know who my person is when it comes to talking about Gilbert? It's my uncle's best friend, Anthony, the one that we were on the phone call every single day when we were getting his vitals and seeing ups and downs and trends and this and that. He's my go-to person. Actually, when I feel like I want to talk to Gilbert, I text him and we still meet up to have coffee and he gives me great advice. It's like, it's as if I have a piece of Gilbert through Anthony, and I am so grateful for him. He is literally like my adopted uncle, and I love him so much and his family. And you know, it just shows you guys sometimes your person that will help you cope through this is not even your own family member. Maybe it's just a friend or somebody on the outside that could just hear you out and hear your feelings and you feel heard and valid, you know. I know it's hard. I will keep you in my prayers to give you strength. My grandma is a really big, very, very religious person, and I know she'll bless every single one of you watching this, but just know that I've seen ugly, you know, having to see my grandma cry over losing her son. It has been probably the one of the most ugliest things that I've witnessed in my 32 years of living. My family, we are just hanging in there. We are hanging in there. We're staying strong. We're living happy, and we're trying to reach our goals here for Gilbert. I know that he's smiling ear to ear right now, you know, seeing our accomplishments and seeing what we've done. So if any of you watching, if you made it all the way to the end of this video here now, I just want to say thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments, have you recently lost somebody? What are you going through? You know, I'm sure we could all relate to this. I know that we grieve in all different ways. Just know that I am here for you. Let's talk it out in the comments. I just want you to know that I'm sending you all of my love and all of the virtual hugs possible. If I could meet you all in person and give you a hug, you know I would. And honestly, I apologize because I feel like today's episode, I was kind of like talking off topic and probably jumping from here to there, but I'm actually very nervous to talk about this. I've never done this before. Maybe I'll do a second round one day and do it more organized or more in detail, but I hope the flow went well and you guys kind of got the picture that losing somebody, whether it was 10 years ago, whether it was yesterday, it is always hard. You just got to find your way to cope. Whether it's talking to them, whether it's having a photo of them next to you, whether it's hearing a certain song, whether it's, you know, inviting them to your dinner table, whether it's praying to them out loud like what I do. There's so many different ways. Just try them all out and see what works best for you, okay? And remember, you are not alone. I love you guys. Happy holidays. I know it's rough, but trust me, we're in this together and we could get through this. And just remember that your loved ones would not want you to be miserable and sad on the holidays. It doesn't mean that you have to be a cheerleader on the holidays, but just know that keep that little thought in your head, like how would my mom want me to be today, or how would my uncle want me to act today? Keep that in mind. Make them proud from earth, okay? Because trust me, they're watching. Trust me when I tell you that. I love you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you very, very soon.